Hey everybody, how's it going? Jordan Arell here. I am making a video today about solutions to circumcision because, for one thing, that's just the kind of person I am. That's the kind of thing that I like to focus on is what are the practical, real-life, down-to-earth solutions to a given problem. And I don't think you necessarily need to know all of the history of something. You don't need to know necessarily all of the fine points and the details. You just need to understand exactly what the problem is, what the aspects of the problem are, and then how to effectively take a strategy and utilize that to solve those problems. So it has three parts to it. The first one is pretty obvious. It's to stop cutting off the most sensitive part of baby boys' genitals. Here in America, that's the main thing we do. Although we also cut intersex children, it would be stopping that as well. It would be worldwide stopping cutting the genitals of any child at any time, unless there's dire medical necessity, which is extremely, extremely rare in almost any case. So that's the first solution that I propose modestly, is that we leave body modifications up to the choice of an individual, and not impose that on our children without their consent. Part two to the solution is it's a physical problem, right? Pretty simple, so it requires a physical solution. And foreskin restoration is a great solution. It's not a great solution, it's good, it's an okay solution. I've been restoring for 4 years and will be restoring for probably many more. The DTR is what I started with, and then I switched to TLC, several different TLC products, and as well as there's a lot of restoration devices out there, and they all work great. I'm now just using manual tension actually. I think that may be the best yet, and it's therapeutic in other ways at the same time while I meditate. And it restores a lot of sexual function. It restores a lot of what is lost from circumcision, but not all of it, and definitely not all of the nerves. Definitely not the specialized structures and the exact same texture of skin. Like the frenulum and ridged band and the frenular delta, inner and outer foreskin, which are unique and extremely sensitive. The most sensitive parts of the penis are all in the foreskin, as we know. No one really contests that. If you just simply look at the data, it's obvious, and many reports and it's I won't go into that. Anyways, that can't be restored with foreskin restoration, and so for that we need a different solution. Perhaps Foreskin is one option. Regenerated in foreskin, well, really that's the only other option actually I know of, and a lot of people have criticized Foreskin because they just don't seem to understand it. They haven't really looked into it enough, and I think they're scared to be hurt again. But Foreskin, it's inevitable that it will succeed, or if it doesn't raise the funds, which I think even that's pretty inevitable within the next few years. But if it doesn't, then somebody else will succeed, and it's a pretty straightforward application of a lot of techniques of regenerative medicine that already pretty much exist. it's not science fiction-y. It's not way out there like this crazy thing we'd be doing. Like, it's application of already existing technology to a body part that we just haven't applied it to yet. It's really not that difficult yet. It'll cost a few $1,000,000, and that shouldn't be that difficult to raise for something that affects hundreds of millions of men in one of the most severe ways possible, in the most wealthy nation in the history of the world. It really shouldn't be that difficult to find the money. It shouldn't be that difficult to do. If it doesn't work, we should know very soon, because we should be able to fund it and figure that out. And Foreskin Restoration, then, hopefully will become more widespread as the issue becomes more well known, and at least we'll have that. And the first solution of it not happening anymore to fix that physical side for future men. Finally, we need something that I'm really passionate about, that think is probably the most underrated, underserved, and ultimately, in my opinion, for already circumcised men, the most important part by far. Actually, a lot more important than the physical side. If I had to stay in the same psychological state that I was in a few years ago and have my foreskin back, and somehow stay in that same psychological, mental, emotional state, or be where I'm now, where I still don't have my foreskin, still basically, I'm almost circumcised still because my skin grows so slowly, and yet if I could have the amount of psychological healing I have had already, which even isn't 100% yet, that would be enough for me to choose that 1,000,000 times more than I would choose to actually have my foreskin and be in the state that I was, because I was beyond suicidal. It's amazing that I lived through it, and I'm not surprised that some men don't. But the thing is, we do have psychological solutions, we just haven't really applied them to this problem. And so the third solution to circumcision is the solution to the emotional, mental trauma caused by this, by the procedure itself, by that physical trauma, but also by the emotional trauma of learning what was done to me, to every man who's had to suffer through this. It's an unbelievable burden. There's no way to describe it. It's so far beyond anything I could have ever imagined was possible for a human being to suffer. And so we need to focus on taking those psychological solutions that we already have, and scaling them and applying them to circumcised men, so that men know that the solution's available, so that it's easily accessible to them, and so that they get help with the unbelievable experience of post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and the many other aspects of the pain of being circumcised, and knowing that the most sensitive part of your body has been destroyed for no reason. It's really, really important that we bring forward all of these solutions. Again, especially the last one, I think, is the least well known, and so the most important to at least for me, maybe it's also a specialty of mine, and so I'd really like to bring it to the forefront as something that's really, really important. Because it's also really important for effective activism to think clearly and to just not react emotionally to everything and just have this like automatic reaction of rage around circumcision or of silence and just not being able to say anything or any other emotional traumatic reaction, which ultimately is often not very effective in creating social change and creating stopping it from happening in the future and working towards solutions, both physical and psychological. Those things have come from me all when I found that psychological healing for myself, and my life has gotten immeasurably better. My life is actually really, really good now. I'm pretty happy, the happiest I've been in my life, even before I found out about circumcision, honestly. And I'm not even 100% better yet, but a lot of growth has also come from facing it, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to find so much healing, and I want to continue bringing that to other men. So if you'd like to support me or help work together towards these solutions, please reach out to me. I'm always trying to connect with more people and find ways that we can help each other, because I think that's one of the best things we can do, is to create community around this and have good conversations and learn from each other. So drop me a line, leave a comment if you have any questions, or email me at jordan@foregen.org, and I will reply to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon.